Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thanks to the team over at Heat Toy, we're going to be taking an early look at the new and upcoming MW Culture Avengers Endgame Iron Man Mark 85 1/9 scale collectible figure. Now if you are in the market for picking this figure up, he is available to pre-order right now over at Heat Toy, and for that of course I will leave a link down in the description box below. Taking a look here firstly though at the packaging, you can see that we have a fantastic image here of the Iron Man Mark 85 with the Avengers Endgame logo. Something worth noting is that this is indeed an officially licensed product by Marvel. As we take a look here at the side of the packaging, we do have this amazing foil text with the I am Iron Man, as well as a quote there from the movie. And as we take a look here at the top, once again we also do have the Iron Man Mark 85. And then finally taking a look here at the back of the packaging, we have a fantastic product shot of the actual figure himself. So without further ado, let's crack this open and see what awaits us inside. And so starting off here firstly by taking a look at the entire array of accessories that we do get included within this pack, I believe that he pretty much comes with everything you would want from that of a Mark 85 Iron Man. Starting off with my favourite of the accessories, we have here this back attachment, and I think that the sculpt work as well as the metallic red finish that this has been painted in my opinion looks absolutely fantastic. You can see that we have no paint bleeds on this particular piece whatsoever. I love the gunmetal silver that we do have here for the middle section, and as we take a look at it here from the front, you can see that all of the silver and gold paint applications have been applied impeccably well, and I'm a huge fan of the actual black wash that we do have in some of the seams of the sculpt as well, just to bring out some of the sharper details that perhaps you would have missed if they were just painted in that same metallic red. The largest of accessories that we do get is of course his holographic shield. Now we see him use this just before Hulk is about to use the power gauntlet, and I personally do believe that the sculpt work on this particular piece looks incredibly accurate to the movie, as so does the actual colour of plastic that they have cast this in. You can see that it is mainly transparent with a very subtle blue hint to it, but I really do think that this looks very accurate to the movie, and when actually pegged onto the figure, for sure is a standout piece. Another one of my favourite accessories has got to be that of the power gauntlet. You can see here that the sculpt work as well as the paint applications, very similarly to some of the other accessories, in my opinion have come out exceptionally well. You can see we've got some fantastic silver highlights there, as well as all of the infinity stones which have been cast and painted in their respective colours in order to match the on-screen movie appearance, and once again we do have that fantastic metallic red finish. In terms of other accessories, we of course do get the blade. Now I don't necessarily recall him using this all that much in the actual Avengers Endgame movie, however I do know for sure that he did use it in Infinity War, and you can see here that very similarly to some of the other accessories, we've got some fantastic paint work as well as sculpt work going on for this particular sculpt. And then turning here to what is arguably one of the more interesting accessories, here we get a neck brace. Now this has been included as originally this particular release was supposed to come with that of a Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt. However, due to some licensing agreements, I do not believe that the final product will indeed come with this. However, if they do reach an agreement before this figure does hit mass retail, I'm pretty sure that they will find some way in order to actually include that. But you can see once again really nice sculpt and paint work. He does also come with these blast effects here. Now these are arguably some of the weakest accessories. Personally, I don't really think that they fit the overall aesthetic of the figure. The rest of the accessories look incredibly premium. The sculpt work as well as the paint applications in my opinion are top notch. However, with this particular piece here, you can see that it has just been cast in this orange plastic. There is no black fade to it nor black wash in order to make it look singed or burnt. So personally, these are accessories that I won't necessarily be displaying all that much with the figure. Taking a look here, we do get different hand gestures. I won't go into all of these in as much detail as I have with some of the other accessories, but you can see that once again the paint work as well as the sculpt work in my opinion has come out really nicely. And then turning here to the final accessory, we do indeed get a display base. Now personally, I think that this is a great size. It's not too big, however is not too large, and can for sure withstand the weight as well as actually accommodate for the actual size of the figure as well. You can see that the sculpt work is very simplistic, and we do of course get the Marvel logo, and this entire cradle here can be adjusted in various different ways. So overall, in terms of accessories, I think that he comes with more than enough, and some of the accessories for sure are some of the main highlights out of this particular set for me. And so now turning here to the main event himself, here we have the Iron Man Mark 85. Now I personally do believe that MW Culture have done a fantastic job in terms of the actual sculpt work as well as the paint applications. You can see that as far as the head sculpt is concerned, I believe that it is incredibly accurate to what we see in the movie. You can see that we've got some fantastic detailing here along the sides of the helmet, and I actually do believe that the main faceplate here, in my opinion at least, looks incredible. You can see that the paintwork on this particular release personally is some of the best that I have seen for a figure of this scale. Considering that this is only a 1/9 scale figure, I really do believe they have gone above and beyond in order to ensure that the paint apps look as premium as that of something from Hot Toys. You can see that the metallic red finish that we do get here for the chest plate I think looks fantastic. We've got some nice detailings there for the actual arc reactor as we turn our attention here to the shoulder pads, you can see all of the different sculpted in lines as well as paintwork. And if we actually hinge this section up, I absolutely love all of this silver mechanical detailing that we do also get sculpted in here. And one of the special features of this figure is that he does indeed have a magnetic chest plate as well. So if you do actually take this section off, it is rather finicky to actually do so, but you can see that it does reveal some fantastic inner workings of the actual suit, which once again I just think looks so nice and is such a nice touch as well, as this is something that they didn't necessarily have to include on this particular release, but in my opinion really does amplify how I feel about this particular release. All of the components which are detachable are indeed magnetic, so you can see that it does just simply snap back into place. As we take a look here to the lower section of the torso, once again I believe that all of the definition here to the sculpt as well as the paintwork has come out incredibly nicely. You can see that as we turn here from a side perspective, I think that the biceps as well as the forearms are all very proportionately accurate, and as we take a look here towards the back of the figure, very similarly to that of the front, I think that the sculpt work as well as the paintwork has come out so well on this particular release. As we turn our attention here to the legs, you can see barely no paint bleeds on this particular version whatsoever. The gold and the silver as well as the red, in my opinion, complement each other really nicely, and I believe that the main reason behind why I like this figure so much is not only that the attention to detail is on point, but the actual design of this armor is one of my all-time favorites from the MCU. I always thought that the Mark 85 was for sure one of the sleekest in terms of its designs. Turning here now to the actual LED function, as we turn our attention here to the back, you're going to want to remove this back plate here, and of course if you just flick this switch, it will of course illuminate the front section here of the arc reactor as well as the main helmet section. The helmet does light up nowhere near as bright as the arc reactor, however personally I think that it's once again a really nice touch, and you can see how vibrant the actual LED is in this particular piece. And of course to turn it off, you simply just flick this switch. Now turning to an area of which I don't have all that much praise about is in terms of the articulation. The sculpt work as well as the paintwork on this particular figure I believe is sublime, but in terms of articulation he is slightly lacking. Now as this is a first release from this company, I'm pretty sure that they are going to perfect some of the joints and the tolerances on their figures in upcoming releases. However, here for Iron Man, he is lacking in what is in my opinion some crucial joints. So taking a look here at the head, it is on a ball joint, so it can look down as well as up. I maybe would have liked it to have gone slightly further up, however that's a more than adequate range of motion. It can of course look left to right as well as tilt side to side. If we take this shoulder pad here and actually hinge it up, that does allow you to rotate the arm all the way around on a ratchet joint as well as hinge roughly to 90 degrees here also on a ratchet joint. Something which is worth noting however though is that this figure does not have any butterfly joints nor bicep rotation. I have no idea as to why they did not engineer a bicep swivel in this particular figure, as there is no LED function here for the lower gauntlet section. So personally I really am unsure as to why this is. Maybe they didn't want to break up the sculpt, however personally I don't really think that they would have, as it would have probably have come underneath this piece, but that for sure is definitely something that I would have loved to have seen on this figure. He does have a double joint here at the elbow, however once again I wish that they would have engineered perhaps a drop down hinge, as really you only get roughly 90-degree range of motion out of this particular joint, which in my opinion if you were to have a drop down hinge joint you could have perhaps got this here curling all the way up. We do get a ball joint here which can rotate left to right as well as swivel here forwards and backwards. As we turn our attention here to the torso, this is actually one of the best areas of articulation, as it utilizes engineering that I would have loved to have seen here on the biceps and here for the legs. You can actually take this here and extend this entire joint, which does allow for a fantastic range of motion here, crunching forwards, backwards, side to side, as well as of course rotating left to right. So if once again if they could have utilized the same engineering here for the biceps as well as for the elbows and then subsequently here for the lower torso, I for sure do believe that this figure would almost be a solid 10 out of 10 for me. But of course in order to create for a more coherent sculpt, you simply just snap that into place and you can see that it does hold in there really nice and securely. The legs here can kick forwards roughly to that far, however you can once again see that they do kick out to an angle. I would have loved to have seen a drop down hinge joint here in order to actually get the legs kicking out straight, and then we could have maybe had gotten a better range of motion, but they can kick back to about that far. He can do the split, however it is very minimal and I don't necessarily want to push it too much in case I do actually rub the paint. We do also get a swivel joint here at the thigh, as well as once again a double jointed knee. However, due to the nature of the design, that is merely just past 90 degrees, and if they would have utilized a drop down hinge joint, you could have maybe had got this curling all the way up here to the top. In terms of foot articulation, we do get a ratchet joint forwards and backwards as well as a rocker side to side. However, once again due to the nature of the design, this here is slightly restricted. However, we do indeed get a toe bend. So in terms of articulation, for me, I do definitely believe that that is where I have most of my criticisms with this release. I believe that in terms of sculpt work as well as paint work, the figure is more or less perfect. However, when it does actually come here to the articulation, I do believe that they could have for sure improved it. And so now, going over some of the actual weapon implementation, to begin with, I'm going to start off with, once again, my favourite accessory, that being this back attachment. So you saw earlier on in the review that I did indeed actually remove this back piece. You are going to want to do this to actually add this piece on. As you can see, we have these two huge pegs that will peg into the ports here on the back. So you're just going to want to align these up here appropriately and give that there a nice squeeze, and you can see how that does seamlessly fit onto the back. Quite honestly, you probably wouldn't even realise that it was an additional attachment. I think that looks very coherent when actually pegged onto the rest of the sculpt, and due to the exceptional paintwork, it really does blend in and look fantastic. You can see just how awesome he looks with this particular attachment. However, of course, you can weaponize him up even further. So to begin with, you're going to just want to pop off one of the fists here. They are on ball joints, so are very easy to actually remove. And then we can bring in here this fist with the tab on the actual side, as this is what is going to peg in to the holster for the shield. So just take this and give this here a nice squeeze. The ball joints do hold on there incredibly well, which is awesome to see. Just ratchet the elbow up so that we have got it in the proper configuration. You can see that we do have a tab there that will actually slide into this slot section here. So just align this up appropriately and then push this section in, and there we have the Iron Man Mark 85 with the shield. And once again, you can see here just how large this particular shield is. This figure here is roughly 9.5 to 10 inches tall, so the shield for sure is definitely a very substantial piece. However, in my opinion, is very proportionately accurate to what we actually see in the movie. And you can see that we do have some fantastic sculpt work. Just setting that there off to the side and pulling off this fist so that we can show you how he looks with the actual power gauntlet or the nano gauntlet installed. Once again, you can see that we do have a port in there. This will just slide right over the top. And you can see that is how the Mark 85 looks there with the power gauntlet. Personally, I think that it looks really awesome. However, once again, it would have been great if we could have got a greater range of motion here out of the elbow, as you really could have had this curled up close to where the figure's chest is, and it would have created for a much more movie accurate look. However, personally, I don't think that looks too bad whatsoever, and it is really here that you can see the phenomenal paintwork as well as, of course, sculpt work. Turning here for a very quick size comparison, unfortunately, I don't really have anything that is within the 1/9 scale. It is for sure a rather unusual scale to actually get figures in. However, I'm pretty sure that he will scale fantastically well with some of their upcoming MW Culture figures. But you can see that in terms of a size comparison, here he is here next to a 7-inch figure, and then of course the 10-inch Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and you can for sure see that he is roughly 9 to 8.5 inches in terms of scale, so for sure a lot bigger than compared to that of the Marvel Legends. And if you are after a high-end Iron Man figure to go in the display and don't necessarily want one that is in the 1/6 scale, I for sure do believe that this figure here will look really, really awesome. And so, some final thoughts. Personally for me, I think that this is a great first entry by MW Culture. Of course, whilst I may have some discrepancies in regards to the articulation, there is no denying whatsoever that the actual sculpt work as well as paint applications on this particular release are some of the best that I have seen from a figure of this scale. For those of you who have collected the Play Arts Kai line, this figure here is roughly the exact same size compared to some of those figures. So for sure, the paintwork is some of the best that I have seen. I think that he comes with a great range of accessories, all of which have been very nicely crafted. And once again, especially where the nano gauntlet and the entire back assembly is concerned, I think the sculpt work as well as the paintwork on them look incredible. The articulation, whilst it is not a deal breaker, definitely has faults in it. I have no idea whatsoever why they were unable to actually engineer a bicep swivel on a 2020 release. This for sure should be something that is implemented into all releases. However, maybe there was some kind of construction reason as to why they could not do that. But overall, I do for sure believe that this is one of the better Iron Man figures on the market, especially in terms of its price point. This here ranges roughly between $80 to $88, which in my opinion is a more than suitable enough price. I surely do believe that it beats any other competitor that is releasing figures of this particular scale, which when you take into account the phenomenal paintwork, sculpt work, LED function, magnetic chest plate, as well as the slew of accessories that we do get, I believe that it more than warrants that price. Once again, I want to say a huge thank you to Heat Toy for sending this early sample out for me to review, and of course, if you are in the market for picking this figure up, he is available to pre-order right now over at Heat Toy, which of course I will leave a link down in the description box below. I really do hope that you enjoyed my review. If you did, please be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.